I was going to ask that question.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. Thank you, Tabitha, for joining us to give this lovely sustainable livelihood model presentation. Just a quick little bit of housekeeping. We will be recording this session. So if you do not wish to be part of the recording, feel free to turn your camera off. We do ask, though, that during the presentation, you do keep yourself muted. During the question period, though, you are more than welcome to unmute yourself. If you don't feel comfortable speaking out loud, feel free to put it in the chat, and either myself or Nefri will relay it to Tabitha. Take it away, Tabitha.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So we're here to talk about sustainable livelihoods and the model that is provided in terms of what you need to think about when starting a business. I'm just going to go to the next slide. Feel free to ask questions if you need to. I'll try and answer them the best I can as I'm going along. Just going through the presentation material here. Building your roadmap basically is you have to think about areas in you have to think about ways or areas that you want to, your goals and how you want to proceed within your business. And your roadmap is very important. And these areas that we're going to talk about today are very, very important in terms of planning and going forward and building your own business. There's 5 assets for building they're building blocks that you have to think about in terms of your financial assets, your human assets, and then there's personal assets and physical assets. You have to look at different ways of measuring where you're at currently, and then going into business, you have to think about where you want to be within the end, or to get to that next level or the next steps. It plays a very important role to getting there, and then also to be able to review it at a later time. By understanding your assets or your asset strengths and your challenges, you will become more resilient to shocks, crises, or trends that can throw your life or your business off track. There's 2 different ways of looking at this. You can do it for a personal level, and you can also do it for your business, to keep yourself on track. Let's go to the next one. So with this model, it basically shows you what are your assets. You have your human assets, in which are your health, your mental health, your ability to work, your skills, your education, your ability to set goals and work towards them. And then you have your financial assets, in which works, through your income. It talks about you have to think about your income, your current living situation in terms of, can you afford to start your business and, possibly, have a sustainable income at the same time. So there's so many things to be looked at in terms of that. Then there's social assets. That also talks about, do you have the support within your family, your balance within to be able to move forward. And then there's personal assets. There's also, how do I value myself? Am I motivated enough? Can I keep going, to be able to go into that area? So, and then there's physical. How would my situation be with, if I started this business, do I have to have childcare? There's do I have the resources and technology to be able to go ahead with this? So there's so much different things to look at. So we'll go into the first area. I was kind of just giving a brief update or overview on that. So the first area is financial assets. It talks about the income, your savings and debts, valuable possessions, strong understanding of money, money management, personal attitudes to money. So basically, when you're starting a business, most banks will look at your assets. Okay, do you have the savings that you need for certain loans? That most of them will ask you for 10%. You have to look at your can I afford to actually go and do this in terms of personal, like for example, how would I get my, how would you have food? How would you be able to do your personal stuff in terms of trying to build this business? Understanding the money as well would be another area, because certain terms of loans or grants that you get, there's a way of getting, you have to make sure you have enough to be able to pay that within that first startup stage. I had that issue when I ran my business, was sure the money would come in, but how would we be able to pay it back? Certain things that you would need to really, really look at. Your money management, how you're going to plan for, from getting from step A to step B. Then the physical assets are your housing, your food, your safety, your transportation. Those areas are basically, how can you sustain yourself while preparing to go into business, or even if you're already in it, how are you going to sustain yourself? Because usually the first few years are really kind of harder to go through. Next areas. The human assets. So human assets are basically your mental health, your physical health, your ability to set goals, what's your education level, employability, ability to work and retain work, the ability to continue to learn and develop your skills as you go along. This is very important, because if you're not mentally into what you're doing, or you think that you can do this, but are you really at that level of doing it, is what I'm getting at. For me, when I did start my business, my mental thinking was, it was all I put my passion into. I wanted to get to that point of opening up I own a gas station, by the way. I wanted to get to that point of opening the store and to be able to serve the community, and to just kind of, be that bridge that gap between what's needed in the community. And we had a passion for it. We made it work. In terms of mental and physical health, we put our all into it, in which it was really, really hard, and it kind of strained the family a little bit, but we made it work. Social, well, I guess that kind of ties into the social aspects or assets of it as well. With your family and your friends, your community, you have to look at, is your community is the community gonna support your business idea? You have to look at your friends. Are they going to support you? Your family, you need a lot of support from family, just to help with that mental emotions that people can go through in terms of, can I, or am I just doing this for nothing? You know, sometimes you need that support. Also, there's a political literacy that you need to learn in terms of possibly what's what's needed to be able to open your business. Like sometimes I'm not sure where everybody's from, but in terms of me and where we were located on a First Nation. So we needed the support of the First Nation in order to be able to open our business. So we had to go through the political rhymes of actually being supported. And then once from there, we were able to start our building blocks with our business. So there's lots of different things you have to look at. Lots of areas. Personal assets. Basically looking at yourself, where you are now and where you want to be. Looking at your self-esteem, your motivation, and your independence. Setting sort of a goal in terms of, you know, who you are now and who you want to be, or, you know, how do I contribute to this society or this area, you know, just kind of have that in mind as well. Okay, so where are my assets? In the 5 areas, there is a link that Kylie put on in the chat, if everybody wants to look at that. It would be nice. Kylie, are you there, or is it Nefri now? I'd like to do a breakout session if we can, to kind of have everybody look at this sustainable livelihoods assessment, and then you guys can, if you could think about the different areas of where you're at now and where you want to be. Oh no, basically look at where you're at on this part.
So you want to do a breakout room session?
Yeah, it'd be nice just to have everybody look at their assets, just from your own personal level of where you're at. I'm not sure if you have a business already, or if you're just starting a business, but it kind of gives you an idea of where the areas you need to work on. In terms of goal setting.
Okay, I can take a look at that link.
Do you see it?
Late night. So you just click on it and it will download to your computer, and you can select whatever folder you want to save it in.
Should I bring it up instead? Maybe I should bring it up.
Yeah, you can just share on the screen if you like. I think that would be easier.
I'm just going to stop share this, and then I'm going to pull it up. Does it make sense though to everybody? Does anybody have any questions?
I do, Tabitha. Just thinking, if we can't do a breakout, it's a small enough group that we could, you know, maybe just do it here. Like if it doesn't, you know,
Sure.
work, the breakout piece.
Or maybe just write it down on your own paper, or in your own, you know,
Yeah.
from 1 to 5 where you think you are in each area, and feel free to share. Just give me a second here. I'm trying to pull it up. No, I can't. I don't know how to stop this sharing or my screen here to get out of this.
Okay, hold on. Try that now.
No, I'm out of the Zoom in terms of sharing. I'm just trying to pull up my other document.
Then you go back to the sharing button.
Okay, just hold on. I gotta find it. Oh, I found it. Okay.
Okay.
Share, where are you? Okay. All righty. Everybody see that okay?
Perfect.
Is it good?
Yeah.
So just let's see, do you see this one, the financial, social, and personal, and how it grades each other from 1 to 5? So no
Yeah.
one's ever a 1 or a 0. You've got some kind of skills, or you always have something in terms of you always have assets in terms of each area. It's just a matter of how you think about it, or how you want to grade yourself in that area. That's something you can I've attended another workshop prior to this one, and what the lady did on that workshop, it was the same scenario as sometimes to remind yourself about these areas you need to work on would be to go through this little exercise, grade yourself, and then to put it on a plate or some kind of a reminder that, you know, this is the areas where you're at and what you need to work on, and then put it on a wall or something, you know, something that will remind you about it every day, like, oh yeah, I need to work on these areas. And so it's just an idea, but going through this exercise, think about how you see yourselves connecting and what's going on in the world, and then also how you're going to get to that point of upgrading or assessing yourself again later on down the line. How will you fit into the rest of the world later, and then kind of review this chart every 6 months to see how you're doing. It's basically just kind of giving yourself that, you know, goal setting. Does everybody understand what I'm saying? Okay. How would you improve your assets? So yeah, Kylie put the link in, so you can have this for your own review for later. Save it to your files. So basically down here was just basically to list what you think now, and then to go from there. Does anybody want to, should we go through and just kind of give our grades? Anybody, or is that just too personal?
I can just go through just really quickly, Tabitha,
Sure.
if that's okay. I think this is a really good model. And I like the way it's set up with the scale. And, you know, you look at something like this and maybe some months the financial's good, some months the social's good, you know, some months the physical's good. So for me, the human, financial, social, and physical are pretty good right now. It's never like perfect, but the personal is an area that I'm trying to work on, and I won't get into details about that, but it's interesting to map it out like this, and then, you know, just sort of keep referring to it to see if you are making a difference at it. Like having these goals down, it's not a goal, but having this on paper, I think, even on a wall, right?
Yeah.
Is having the visual, right? I think is really, it's really good. So yeah, I'm not going to get into much detail, but yeah,
So
yeah.
that's good. I was just thinking about it this way, like just say, I'll give an example from just an example, not really how it reflects me, but just say my financials a 4, my socials a 2, personal maybe 4 or 3 depending. Physical, let's just say it's I'm 5, and say human maybe 1. A good way to think about it is it's like a circle and you're trying to balance it out. Okay, so you know that human was 1. I need to work on those areas and to try, you know, come up with some goals for 6 months down the line. And then when I review it again, well, is the circle becoming more of a circle versus, you know, it was lopsided on here and there. You know, it's just a good analogy that I thought I'd bring up. You're always trying to balance everything, your whole, the 5 areas. So
Tabitha, can we make it so we can see the list under the financial assets, social assets, and all that? Like, because there's words under there, right? Oh, there's not. That's where you write it. Okay, I thought there were prompts.
Yeah. No, those were more or less just the different, you can write them in. So maybe I should go back. Let me see here. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my presentation, and maybe you guys can just kind of think about this area now that you've seen the model, you've gone through it. I'll go back to my presentation.
Can I just say something, Tabitha? It's Althea.
Hi, Althea.
Can you hear me?
I can hear
Hi. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much, because I did put my financial as a 1. So to hear you say, you know, everybody's got something in there too. And I feel quite strong in the human, the social, the personal, the physical. I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
And I like the idea. So thank you for putting it up, because it it does create stress for me in the back of my mind, but I think I'm going to reframe it as, I love the circle idea, and just like, this is going to build and grow and evolve. So I just wanted to say thanks.
No, you're welcome. I'm going to bring up my presentation because the next part is actually going through those 5 areas, and it'll give you kind of ideas.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Speaker, share screen. Okay. So basically you've gone through that and you've graded yourself. The next area. I'm just trying to, can you see that now? Oh, there we go. Okay, so this is the human assets, business related skills, your training skills, your setting goals and focus, your health wellness. So that's kind of those areas you'd look at. So for the money, like the financial, your financial knowledge, your skills, your credit, your equity. Those are all things you need to look at in terms of setting your goals for the money area. Materials. So it kind of goes through these areas again that we've talked about: the housing, the business location, your food, your necessities, your access and resources to your services and resources for your physical. Your social assets, network, your alliances, your communications, your relationships to human resources, support systems. Personal. Your motivation, your self-esteem, your resilience, your balance. Yeah, setting your goals and how you would like to have them change within 6 months, and then do it again over a year, and then over the next 5 years. Usually those are kind of your target areas where you kind of reassess yourself, you reassess your goals, how your business is doing, and so on. And you can do that from your personal level and your business level, in terms of all the areas. And your roadmap, describe your business success like now and where you want to be in 3 years. Maybe we can do that as an exercise. If anybody would like to share. Any thoughts on that? I guess for me, I forgot to go through and ask everybody's their names and to get the, kind of an idea of where they're at and what they're doing. I guess I should have done that at the beginning.
No worries. If I'll just add something, if nobody else is going to go, I don't want to hog all the time, but just this idea of visualizing where you would like to be with your business in 3 years, I think is so important. And I've actually noticed when I write things down, and even when I do little drawings, that they kind of come true. It's like a way of manifesting too, right? So I just wanted to share that approach has worked, and it sounds kind of flaky, but it has worked well for me.
Exactly.
So thanks for that. Yeah.
I recently attended a workshop online, of course, and that was what one of the presenters said, that really resonated with me, is think about who you are now and how you want to contribute to the world, and then you go from there and set your goals. How do I fit into this world? And when I'm thinking, how do I fit into this world? It's very, very broad, but I'm little me and there's this big world. So yeah, there's lots of things you need to think about in terms of you have this great idea of this business, but will it flow? Will it contribute to society and what's needed? And there's so much things you got to think about. It's just something that stuck with me. It's like, well, I'm just little me. How would that, if I did start something, how would I start? It got me thinking. But it was really, really good advice to think about.
I'm finding this really interesting in the sense that with my business, I was going great when I launched it back. This is the second time I've come into business for myself. So this time round, it was the pandemic that influenced me. And so I left my position last March, and so now we're just past a year of self-employment, and I shot out of the gate. I was so excited. Started it, went into the all the way through the summer, went into the fall, and kind of hit a little bit of a road bump, speed bump, and landed, in the words of Brene Brown, landed flat on my face in the middle of the arena. And so I'm just actually coming through now. I think the season has a lot to do with it, and that too. And my background is horticulture. So, so when we were talking earlier about this, we had a fantastic fall, almost too nice a fall, as far as battling squirrels and chipmunks and that wanted to dig up my bulbs. But I did find that coming into this spring, things are starting to pick up again, and I'm starting to see some movement. And now, as far as business success and that, about halfway through December, I pivoted my business into more of a horticultural therapy aspect. So I'm actually taking a course to make it official. I've worked in horticultural therapy for a while, but have never certified to be a horticultural therapist. So that was a goal for mine. So, you know, when I'm looking at my goals, 3 years from now, I want to be launched into everyone. I want everybody to know about horticultural therapy and its benefits of getting back to nature and understanding that connection to nature and to plants, and kind of going into biophilia, if you're familiar with that.
No, not too familiar with that area, but I get it, because, you know, with the pandemic, I've become more, I don't want to go shopping. I don't want to be around crowds. I want to be with nature. I've done a lot of, you know, going just to go take pictures at, you know, the Mission, and just to go visiting different areas around the area, just to get out there and to be able to get that fresh air. So I know what you're talking about for, you know, it kind of changed the way we do things in terms of, you know, our everyday lives, which it was more safe for us, right? So I'll go into the next one if anybody doesn't have any other anything to add. That was about finding your roadmap. So this is like how I will get there. How will I get there? Ownership for making it happen, allowing it to happen, looking at your efforts, just showing up every day, or you know, setting your realistic goals, clear goals as well. Reviewing your progress, either weekly, monthly, or annually, like we talked a little bit about, but maybe start off weekly as you first start, and then celebrate your small achievements, you know, as you proceed. And then, you know, that's a good way to start off. Measuring out everything. So always check back in 6 months. You can be everything you want to be, but you have to know what you want. And the hard part. And that's the hard part of knowing what you want and how you want to get there. Setting your goals and working towards them is key. And then revisiting them. Very important to revisit your goals. And that's the end of my presentation today. Feel free if anybody has questions or comments. Going back to when I started my personal business many years ago, I would have loved to have seen this chart back then, but it's really good to actually look at all those areas, because when I opened my business years ago, I didn't have thinking about personal, and then those 5 areas at all. It was just, I want to do this. How do I get there? And then there was a lot of things that I could have looked at in terms of those areas to be able to better the whole process is what I'm getting at. So there was lots of ups and downs, in which I should have planned a little better. But that's all I have today.
I just think it's such a great, it's true that the tools and resources we have now for businesses, especially for women, it's so amazing. And to share it amongst this community is just so cool. And to have people from everywhere, like I love this, Thunder Bay, Ottawa, I'm in Guelph, talking about our businesses and learning from each other. And I'm actually really curious about your business too, Tabitha, like the whole gas station, right? Like that's really cool, that you're running a gas station in the community. And yeah, so it's just, I just want to say thank you. It's really awesome.
You're welcome. It was really challenging for me and my partner at the time. Funding wise was very challenging because we had a few other gas stations in the community. We had competition, basically. That was our major hurdle at the time. And we really didn't know how things were going to work, right? Because now you have to kind of go along with, if they're going to lower their gas station, you got to lower your prices, or you know what I mean? Just those mentality games that you have, or not really games, but the mentality of like, how is this going to go? Or we kind of went with the flow. We just went for it and figured, well, if it fails, it fails. If it goes, it goes. That was our attitude at the time. And where having these tools in place would have guided us a little better in terms of, our thinking and stuff. But we went with the flow and we survived, which was good. We did good. And then actually our business was really progressing well, and we were getting so much business. It was just overwhelming. We did upgrade as well, which financially strained us again, but yet we made it work. So there's always that goal setting of what's next. You go from here to there. What do I need to do? You have to think about all those things and how it will affect us personally and business wise. So there's just so much things you need to write down, but which we didn't. We just went with the flow. So lesson learned kind of thing. What else was there that was challenging for us? There was the upgrades, then we had the competition. Then we had to deal with like break-ins. That was another strain on us mentally. We feeling like someone was gonna, like you put all this hard work into an effort into your business, and for someone to come in and just like wreck it, and your property's damaged, and what's next, and how am I going to pay for this? And there's so much things, like the mental part of it for us later on is we were scared that they're going to do it again, so we put in cameras, and it was just a big strain. And that's something that I never really thought about, like earlier on in those days, like for security wise, we had to do that. What else was there? The other thing too is, as a business owner, we had to be available when staff didn't show up. that was a real strain on us personally as a family. I eventually, me and my husband at the time, we're not together now, but either he would work or I would work, or I would get my kids in there. I had the whole family involved, there was just, we had no choice. If we didn't have our workers, they didn't show up, then we had to make that commitment as a family. So that was a strain as well, but we made it work. What else was there that kind of we went through? Our hours of operation were quite long. So that was a very strenuous time. Those were strenuous times, especially when we had family or personal things to deal with the kids, and then having to run the store as well. It was, we were open almost 15, 16 hours a day. So yeah, it was a lot of planning. We had to do scheduling for the workers and everything. So, but we made it work. Just a little bit about my prior business. I'm not into that anymore. I'm currently now the Indigenous coordinator for PARO. So I'm now helping others with their businesses they want to start and to go from there. Anything else? Would anybody like to share?
I just wanted to say thanks for allowing for a more holistic view of business, because I feel like I kind of become very focused on the finance part of it. And that becomes my worry. And that was I rated myself the lowest in the financial assets because I just feel unsure about it the most So it was nice to be able to rate myself higher in other areas and help to make me feel a bit more confident in my abilities. Because when I think of the financial piece, I feel sometimes like I'm incompetent sometimes. But then when I look at the other areas, I have other skills that I bring to the table, and I can work my way up through the financial and set goals for myself.
Yeah, the other thing to think about too is if that's an area you're struggling at and you have the most fears that you're gonna not succeed, right? Don't think of it that way. Just try plan, and then maybe you can hire someone to do your books.
Yes.
Hire somebody that'll help you along with those steps that you need to learn to be able to do your own, if you wish to do your own books, or if you want to hire someone to do it for you. And for us, we hired out because I was too busy. I worked, so this is the other part, I worked at the police station. I was the administrator there, financial administrator, at the same time as running my business.
Crazy.
So I was running between the police station and the gas station. Stuff happens, pumps break down. Oh, I've got to go.
Right.
So there was that kind of thing. I always had to be on alert. So yeah, that just so you know, don't let that hold you back though.
Yes, I'm trying really hard to keep pushing forward, and then realize that I have other people that I can learn from or can assist me. I don't have to do it all on my own.
Yeah. That's the good part about the planning stages though, is you have that, you think about all those different areas, and then you can proceed and you know what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the model. I find it really helpful now, and I feel better about moving forward and more confident in myself. So
Sounds good. Thanks. You're welcome. All right, I think that's about all I have to say. I'm not sure if anybody else has anything else. All right. Nefri, are you there?
Yes, I am.